The first one? Okay.
I do have it. I do have it.
Okay, let's do it.
Let me pull it up. There we go. So is Anthony doing the quick intro and then we get into the slides?
Well, I'll just say that first, thank you very much, colleagues from Earth University and also the Rho Forum Secretariat. For the students that are joining, either this is your first time to join in this series, or even indeed a continuation of the other previous participation in these sessions for transitions to work. I welcome all of you. This is our effort as a Rho Forum Secretariat working in partnership with Earth University to prepare young people for the world of work and ensuring that you have a smooth transition. Because these are some of what we consider transferable skills that you need for your smooth transition and placement at different workplaces. The world is competitive and people don't have a lot of time out there to begin to train you from scratch. So we are trying to put all the things together so that it is an encyclopedia for you more as you begin to prepare your journey for the places of work. But even those that are already working, you can pick a lesson or two to be able to become much better and much more competitive in your workplaces. So with these so many words, allow me to hand over to the facilitators and allow the session to continue. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you, Anthony. My name is Naboth Wambale, and I'm the program director for the Mastercard Foundation Earth University Fellowship Program. With me are a couple of colleagues that I work with, and they'll be the facilitators for today's training. But just for those that are joining us for the very first time, we'll have a couple of slides, quick slides to bring you up to speed of who we are as an institution. And I'm grateful that Anthony has really talked more of the background about Rho Forum and the essence of this series of trainings or sessions that we're having. So we'll have a brief introduction about ourselves, who we are, and then we'll go straight to the topic of the day that will be taken up by Ramon. But quickly, as Earth University, it's a private non-for-profit institution, international university focusing on agricultural sciences, and it's based in Costa Rica. But we prepare young people from across various continents, including Africa. And our approach to training is that we take the experiential curriculum that really takes a broad perspective of view regarding sustainable agriculture, where we give the students, our students, an opportunity to also complete an international internship, as well as work with communities to address some of the challenges. So we do this through two broad principles. The first one that is student-centered. Basically, here we work with students either as individuals or in groups and facilitate them to explore the real challenges that we encounter within the broad agriculture sector and also become active participants in generating knowledge. The second principle through which we train our students is the experiential learning, where the students get to learn through practice. So you get to deliberately get to work and go through different experiences that are designed to encourage and develop them, develop their abilities that then they can be able to put into practice. And so I'll go ahead for another slide. So currently, if we were to think about the student population, we have about 400 students and 50% of these are females, coming from over 45 countries, and 69 of those coming from rural areas within those countries. We've so far had more than 600 graduates, and of these, 81% have since returned to their home countries, and 22% of these have also established their own businesses. And these are across the three continents we talked about. We talked about Caribbean, North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. recently, as part of really continuing Earth's mandate and impact in transforming rural areas, we also established another arm of the institution that we call Earth Futures. And here we work through two main pillars, which is education for leadership and then developing solutions. Within education for leadership, really what we're doing here is that we work with partner institutions, including Forum, for instance, to make sure that we make agriculture education more effective and transformative in preparing the next generation of leaders who are the students for the rural areas that they be ultimately be working in, as well as the global agricultural food systems. On the development solutions side, we work along with communities to ensure that we design, test, and also scale up new innovations that are tethered towards improving both livelihoods, but also the sustainability in rural communities. So the Mastercard Foundation Earth Fellowship Program is just one of those programs that we have under Earth Futures, whose main role really is to accelerate the young African graduates' impact by bridging the career opportunities or pathways to employment and entrepreneurship within agriculture and on the continent itself. So for today's training, the core theme is the career development so we are looking at the career development training, and our objectives really for this, like Anthony mentioned, is to give the young professionals the opportunity to evaluate and plan their future employment, as well as expand on their skills and knowledge. And so today's facilitators, we have two of them. One of them is Ramon. Ramon is the president of operations and HR, and is also the HR director at Earth University with a broad range of experience in human resource management. And prior to working at Earth University, Ramon was a director of Global Coaching, a company that focuses more on advisory of organizations and executives in HR procedures as well as coaching. He's worked with multiple institutions, including Ernst & Young, and overseeing multiple countries within Central America and the Dominican Republic. He's also an economist by training. He holds a bachelor's degree in economics from Kansas State University, but also has a master's degree in human resource management and marketing from Funebos University in Costa Rica. Our next speaker, facilitator, is Amy Porter. Amy Porter is a faculty member at Earth with over 10 years experience in higher education. And at Earth, she is the one that is in charge of our global internship and career development program. She holds a master's degree in international education with emphasis on teaching English as the second language. And also she holds a certificate in sustainable farming. So with that, I want to open it up to our facilitators to take us through the session. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Anthony, and thank you very much, Anthony, for your introduction. As Nabot was saying, we're gonna go over today of the topic of becoming a competent, high-performing employee. It's one of the series of sessions, of training sessions that we have been doing with Forum. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, this is a question that I want to ask you all. You know, who decides how much you want to grow? And the answer is you. You know, but change is a matter of motivation. You must motivate yourself to grow. So the question here is, are you ready to grow more? This is a presentation. I think it's important that is centered on the individual, is to reflect and advance and to grow, and I call expand our identity. So let's please keep this in mind as we go along the next slides. Next one, please. Yeah, I wanted to give you some information about the reality of the situation in Africa. As you can see from this chart, in 2020, there were over 453 million people employed in Africa. The amount decreased a little bit compared to the previous year, 2019. But the good news is this is growing. Next slide, please. So it's important for you to know which countries are hiring the most, right? And again, this is a study that you can check it out even more when we give you all the slides at the end of presentation. But in 2020, these are the countries that were hiring most. And this is important because you might want to start looking at jobs in these countries if you're ready to move from your current location, you know? So some countries are hiring more than others. And I think it's important for you to keep this in mind as well in order to see opportunities for yourself. Next one, please, Nawal. These are the top employers in Africa last year. I think it's really important for you to go over this and take a look at them if you're ready to work for any of these companies. Myself, I can tell you that I have worked in EY, the one in the second line, which is a great multinational company with great benefits. But you know, from there, I know others like Novartis and Unilever and Nestle, DHL. Those are great companies. And again, these are the top employers last year. So you should also take a look at them. Next slide, please. Okay, these are the topics that we have for today. The first four, the goal setting, step for effective goal setting, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and achieving a sustainable work-life balance are going to be covered by myself, and the other two, career development from two perspectives and opportunities for growth and continued learning, are going to be covered by Amy in a few minutes. Next slide, please. Okay, this is like, actually I have 2 or 3 slides with this information because I think it was really important and relevant, you know. Of course, we have to have knowledge that we can acquire at the university, at high school, or even at the school, and also technical skills, you know. Technical skills involve the ability to perform specific job-related tasks. Technical knowledge is practical, so individuals with good technical skills tend in a company. That's really important. And the part of attitudes and aptitudes. I just want to emphasize here the difference in these two. It might sound like you know, something that is you take it for granted, but it's important to know, you know, aptitude is the personal natural ability to learn something, is related to talent and can be mental or can be physical. But attitude, which is really important for me, is more related to character and personality, more mental, you know, it's related to person feelings, opinion, and perspective. And you should have a really good attitude in a workplace in order to grow. Next slide, please. Okay, this is also important. As you can see here, you know, the independent variable belongs to the x-axis horizontal line, you know, where the effort line is. And the dependent variable belongs to the y-axis, which is the vertical line, or where the performance is, you know. So you want to be, of course, in the green square, high performance and high effort. But the truth is that if you're just starting to work, you might want to be in the yellow square that says potential yen, which is you have to put a lot of effort, but maybe because you're just learning in your new job, you might not perform very high. But you don't want to be in the red square, yeah, where you have low effort and low performance. That's something that you might want to avoid. Thank you, Nawal. And then this one also, it's about, as I call it, expand our identity, you know. How hard do you want to work to be the best version of yourself? You know, there's always room for improvement. I don't know if you all have read the book called The 4 Agreements, which I think is a great book to be a better version of ourselves. To be honest, I don't like the first pages, but I mean, what is important here is the 4 agreements. So let me just go over real quick. You know, the first one says, be impeccable with your word. You know, and this is to say that speak with integrity, say only what you mean, and avoid using the word to speak against, you know, others or gossip about others. The second agreement is do not take anything personally. You know, nothing Others do it because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. The third one is do not make any assumptions. And this is to say to communicate with others as clearly as you can. And the fourth one is always do your best. Under any circumstance, simply just try to do your best and become the best version of what you can be of yourself. Next slide, please. Okay, these are essential qualities of a high-performing employee. This actually was based on a study from an African population. And you can see all those 5 are very important, being honest, be fair and sincere with yourself and the company you're working for. Having a solution-oriented mindset, if you were able to stay here in my office, I have a sign at the back of my door in my office that reads, if you are bringing a problem and does not have a possible solution, please leave my office, So if you have to talk to your supervisor or boss about a situation that happens and you need to solve it, do not just bring the problem to your boss, or your colleague or whatever, just give him or her a couple of solutions. This is really gonna speed up the solution problem situation that you have there. Being organized, if your boss asks you about something, make sure you have it ready. Team spirit, of course, I think we all know that is key. And also being proactive, give you creativity and good energy to perform better. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just a list of how companies identify high potential employees. And I'm not going to go over all of them. You can then review it with the presentation that I'm going to give you. But some of them that I think are important here as calm under pressure. To me this is really important. Do not let the stress get you. And the one that is feedback. You should be happy to receive feedback. I have seen people that get mad once they receive feedback. And if you think about it, when your boss or a colleague tells you about ways to improve, this is a gift that you should listen carefully, because it's helping you, become a better professional, a better person. Okay, goal setting. Setting goals means that a person is committed thought, emotion, and behavior towards attaining a goal. When you set goals, we need to be optimistic to achieve the goal, be positive to achieve the goal. We're going to go over that. Next slide, please, now. Okay, it's important for you to believe in the process. If you really are setting goals, you must make sure you believe in what you're doing. Write it down. This is really important, either in a computer or handwriting. I think it's important to write it down. And make sure that the goals are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. A few weeks ago, Amy talk to us about this, the SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And you can review the past material, but this is important also to keep it in mind. Remain accountable. Be responsible if something goes wrong. That's fine. We all make mistakes. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and continually assess your progress. You have to measure your progress and make sure you're on the right track. Okay. Next slide, please, now. Okay, these are just the type of goals, as you can see, we have career goals. We might want to have, get a master's degree or something. We could have financial goals. For example, let's, for the ones that are working, let's just save 10% of my income so that I can, have something when I retire. Relationship goals, health goals, you might want to go to the gym, I don't know, educational goals about a specific course that you might want to take, etc. So they're just type of goals that you might want to do once you start your goal setting process. Next slide, please. Okay, this is really important because a lot of people fail when they want to achieve their goals. Study says that 80% of people never set goals for themselves, and this is especially prevalent among people that are not involved in some sort of business or entrepreneurial endeavor. But we should all, write down our goals, and this is interesting because for this 20% that set goals, 70% fail to achieve the goals they have set for themselves, and here's some of the reasons, fear of success. The first one is interesting, but some people are afraid that they might fail, or even worse, that they might succeed. It's weird, but that happens. And these people lack belief in their self and in their potential. Also, happens is lack of understanding. Setting a goal is really about changing yourself for the long term, not the short term. It's about showing the world that who you can become and what you want to achieve. So be aware of that as well. Lack of commitment, if you don't commit yourself to the goal, then the results will not be as effective as you want them to be. Inactivity, without action, nothing is gonna happen. So motivate yourself to take action and make it happen. Lack of analysis, always base your decisions and answer your question with a view of the future, not a view of just the current situation. Think ahead and think you're gonna make it. And lack of real destination. If you don't have a destination in mind, then you'll never know which road to take, and then you're gonna run into trouble there. And failing to plan, people neglect the gifts they possess, which can help them attain the goal. So believe in yourself. This is key in this process as well. Next slide, please, now. Then let me just pause here for a minute. I want to ask you a couple of questions here. What is most important to you, to experience the pleasure, or to avoid pain or guilt when you are setting goals here? Are you looking to avoid failure or achieve success? Look very closely at the slides that we're gonna go over now, because it's important to keep the focus on this. Personal awareness is key to make the change that you need to become a better professional and a better person in general. Next slide, please, now. Okay, developing self-awareness is important because it's allow you to evaluate your growth and effectiveness and change the course when it's necessary. The decision-making process here is going to be key in this transformation that you want to have. Next slide, please. Okay, these are some examples of self-awareness goals. Keep an open mind. As I was saying, be positive, be mindful of your strengths and weaknesses. In some training sessions some weeks ago, we talked about this, the importance of know our strengths and our opportunities of improvement, if we want to call it weaknesses, And I even told you at some point to get an appointment with yourself, and stay in a room in a library or even in your house, and write down what do you think are your strengths and why are your opportunities for improvement. It is important to get to know you even better. Stay focused, right? This is key. Don't get distracted in the process. Set boundaries, it's important. Know your emotional triggers, this is also important. It's a way to know yourself as well. Embrace your intuition. We all have a great intuitions. You trust them. Practice self-discipline and consider of course, how your actions affect others as well. This is important here as well. Next slide, please. Okay, strengths and weaknesses. Strengths, as I was saying, knowing your strengths means you know what activities to engage and what will allow you to shine. This is important. Get to know how can you shine in your personal life, but also in your work also. And weaknesses, is keep in mind that knowing your weaknesses allows you to understand how you can work around them. And we're gonna go over a few ways to assess the situation as well. Next one, please. These are examples of strengths. I'm not gonna get into all of them. It's just a list that you can see there and see if you get familiar with some of these. That's important. And also, keep in mind that you may want to write something about why you are, you think you have this strength. For example, creativity, why do you think you have it? It's important to write it down, and, this is going to help you also to feel more secure about your strength. Next slide, please. Okay, this is also important about identifying your strengths at work. Listen to feedback. As I was saying, when somebody gives you feedback, just listen carefully. It's a gift to me to become a better person. Consider your passions. Pay attention to when you are most productive. This is important. Some people are more productive during the morning, some then in the afternoon. I mean, just try to see when do you think you are more productive. Take a personality test. As you can see, there's lots of tests on the internet. One of them, which is, I think it's well known, is DISC. The DISC is, the D is for dominance. People that are results oriented, direct. The I is for influence. These are people that are friendly, optimistic. The S is for stable. About people that have this S very strong, are sincere and patient. And the C is for compliance. These are people that are more accurate and cautious. And there's also now tests that combines this DISC with the competencies. And there's a very interesting mix. And again, these are on the internet, and you should take one of these. They should be for free, and it's important also to do it. Next slide, please, Nabot. Okay, like most common job interview questions, what are your weaknesses, can be challenging to answer. But look at this. This is a way to put it in a positive way. I focus too much on the details. This could be right, but this could be wrong as well. I have a hard time letting go of a project. I have a trouble saying no. So you answer the questions in this way. Again, there's something that is positive on the response you are going. Okay, and an employer could count this as a strength, which is what you want to do as well. Next slide, please, now. Okay, work-life balance. We're gonna get into this topic now. This is really important, and again, this might be different for some people in the sense that if you have a family, you might have more responsibilities, but it's important to keep a balance. Next slide, please. Okay. Again, this could be an issue for some people, or maybe for others not. But the reality, again, is different from all of us. If you're single and have no family, still you're gonna have to be careful to have a work-life balance because you want to avoid burnout. That also is happening a lot in some people that work in companies as well. Next one, please. Okay. We're about to finish now, but this is the importance of work-life balance. Lowers stress. This is key. As you know, there's millions of people suffering from stress in this world now. Improve mental health, improves physical health. This is important also, you know, the exercise, the walk, you know, we have to help yourself in this regard. Embraces your ability to be the present, improves your relationships, increase engagement at work. This is also something that you have to keep in mind, is very important. And then increases creativity thinking, embraces productivity, brings happiness and fulfillment. At the end, this is something that I will recommend to everyone, you know, to ask your question, excuse me, if you're happy about what you are doing right now, you know, because we have to, don't be hard on ourselves, and you know, be happy with what we're doing if we're doing a good effort to become, again, a better person and a better professional. And of course, related to this, it brings higher levels of success, of course. Next slide, please. Well, you know, this is just, I'll say with this slide that, again, it's to avoid burnout, you know. As it says here, you know, people with work-life balance experience less family conflicts, less problems, you know, but less physical and mental health problems. And again, we have to take care of ourselves. This is important to keep in mind. Next slide, please. Okay, and this is ways to accomplish work-life balance. You know, examine your situation, think about what your most important values are, and how you want to spend your time. Again, this is a matter of balancing time and leaving some time for yourselves as well. Manage other people's expectation. You know, sometimes your boss might want you to stay and work, you know, 10, 12 hours a day, but you have to say, wait, you know, let's talk about this, because you know, this is too much, and it's okay to talk and be open about that. As I was saying, take care of yourself. This is really, really important. Learn to say no, you know. Again, take care of yourself by planning activities of your personal life, and look for a job that offers flexible scheduling and a family-friendly work environment, you know. Next slide, please. Next slide, Nabil, please. Hello. Amy, are we having problems? Nabil, can you go to the next slide? I guess it's now your turn, Amy, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is.
But something happened there. Nabil, are you there? So I don't know, it's just you and I, Amy, that are okay, or
I wonder if one of the, Nabith may be having internet problems. We may, let's see, I might be able to share the presentation. Let me try. Okay.
And let me see if I can put a note here, because I don't know if everybody's.
Yes, Joseph just said that they are listening, so they can hear us.
Oh, okay, that's great. That's great. Then maybe it's not. So Connie, if you can pull out the presentation, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's M. I'm pulling it up right now. I'm logged in as Connie, but it's Emily. One sec.
So they are all hearing us, right? Now it says that his screen just froze, but I guess if the rest of our attendants are hearing us, that's fine. We can go ahead and
yes, Amy, would you just let me know which slide you
Keep
would
going.
start on?
Number 40.
Go back.
Oop,
One
I
more.
went too fast.
There,
Okay,
career
we go.
development. There you go.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. Oops, I don't know why that happened. Okay, hold on. Let's try that again.
There you go.
Okay, and then like this. There we go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Ramon. I'm going to take over now the second half of the session. And again, what we've been talking about is career development, right? And I think we've talked about this in the first two sessions, that career development is a lifelong, you can't just get your first career and say, I'm done. Even if you stay in the same job with the same company, you're still developing your career throughout your life. And how you do that is what Ramon talked about and what I'm going to get into. Next slide, please. I believe many people are asking about, okay, thank you, Nabith. We will be sharing the slides, and if we haven't shared the first two presentations, we can share those as well. So this is just a sort of a chart of a career development, an employee experience, and you can go to the next slide. Ramon talked about a little bit, the skills, your strengths and weaknesses, but there's many aspects for self-development, knowing your values, your interests, your personality, and being aware of what skills you have and what skills you still need to acquire. When you talk about personality, you should know your own personality to know how you work in a group or how you work with a leader, your interests, and of course, your values. Next slide, please. What I'd like to do is, if you could put in the chat and let me know, have you ever taken a skills test, values test, or personality test? You can just write yes or no in the chat. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I'm seeing a lot of no's. I've seen someone took a personality test. Anyone else want to answer? Another no? Okay. Again, a personality test of values and skills, no. Here, these are just links to free tests. I think Ramon talked about that, taking the personality tests. And this high5test.com has a few different tests. One of them that I like is the Strengths Finder. Also, the Myers-Briggs is more of the personality. And also Career One Stop is a website from the United States. And they have various tests on this One Stop. And it talks about what career you should take, and work values. And so these are free, and I really recommend that you go in. As Ramon said, you need to know yourself, right? Take that time, I like how he says, make an appointment with yourself and take one of these tests. Why these tests are important? They're not the tell-all, right? But you learn about your own strengths. You learn about your likes, your dislikes, which then leads to what kind of career you should go to, or specifically in one field. If you want to study, for example, agriculture, in what specific field should you focus on pertaining to your strengths and your values? It's important to mention that now a lot of companies are starting to use, like what Ramon mentioned, the DISC test. I have students that are going out into internships, and even for an internship, some of the companies are given these tests, the personality tests, to the interns to see how they would fit into the company. It's not a pass-fail test. You don't have to be nervous. They're just looking for certain qualities and competencies. So it's important, and it's a great idea for you all to go into these links, which we will share, and take some of these tests. Next slide, please. Okay. I'm going to ask to put, if you can put something else in the chat. Have you determined what are your values? Yes or no? Thank you. I'm seeing some yeses, some nos. Another yes. Great. Next slide, please. So values are the things that we believe are important. It's the way that we live and work. When we do things, when you do things and you behave in the way your values matter, life is usually good. So you need to know your values to point you in the right direction. And work is a huge, as you mentioned, as Ramon mentioned, that work-life balance. Work is a major part of our life. So we need to know what we value in the workplace and for ourselves to make that match. Your career should go along with your top values. If you haven't, we did get a few yeses and a few nos. To determine your values, you have to sit down with that meeting with yourself. You're going to have a long meeting, yes, and you're going to have a few meetings with yourself throughout the years. And you have to look back at your experiences and what was important to you. And here the bottom says, when you think about, for example, if you value philanthropy, community, and generosity, you might say that service to others is one of your top values. If you can go to the next slide. Here is a long list, which we will share, of values. And what I suggest is you sit down and look through these and you circle a few that are your top values. This is going to help you in life and in your career. Next slide, please. Those values and this, after you sit down and write down those values, you can also there are on one of those links a work value test. You need to write down some of those key values and key strengths, because as I said, some companies are doing those tests now, but also those key words you can put into your resume and also use in the interview process. And when you have those words ahead of time, it's going to help you in the interview process. And you will have them in your resume. So here is, effective strategies for career development. As we keep talking about, I think you'll understand that Ramon and I are pushing this personal development plan. You need to plan it out. You have to have a direction. You need to see that you can move up, or you can have career development within the same company in the same position, or switch sectors. Time management, of course, is good in every aspect of life, and you need to continue to do training and development. Next slide, please. Actions for career development, of course, is your own job performance. Exposure. So if you're students in the university now, you should be getting exposure to different kinds of careers, different kinds of workplaces. If you're loyal to the organization, having a mentor or a sponsor within your field. Next slide, please. This talks about career development in the aspects of individual or organizations. Of course, organizations, it's helpful for us as people that work at organizations to have a clear career goal, because it helps the organization when we are constantly trying to improve ourselves. Next slide, please. These are just some benefits for both the organization and an individual for career development. And very important here when it's for the individual, getting more certificates, more license, promotions, and staying marketable. Next slide, please. I think it's important to talk about career skills now that we're still in the pandemic. I think it's getting better, but things have changed. I think we talked about this in the first two, and we can sit back and talk about our skills. Next slide. This is a graph that shows that the working population is going up for the younger generation. So that's you that we're talking to now. So a lot of younger people in all the different countries are going to be looking for work. Next slide, please. And I found this where it says future employment is likely to depend a great deal on digital technology. So globally, 75% of jobs will require advanced digital skills by 2030. That advanced digital skills will be different in each field, but it's important that whatever field you're studying, you need to keep up with the times and have those skills. Next slide. Again, these are essential skills that you'll need: communication, people management, STEM, strategy, analysis, and problem solving. Global is a new term that's, you need to think globally and locally. Now we're doing more things globally, but we also need to focus in on how that affects our community locally. And finance. Next slide, please. We talked about this was it a month ago? New career skills is creating a network to cultivate sustainable relationships. So I'm not going to go a lot into networking, but you can look at watch our last presentation. But networking is key to finding careers, to finding mentors, to finding new opportunities. Next slide, please. Identifying your skills for more development, enhance skill areas of strength to be stronger, and change development skill areas into strengths. What I already mentioned was go ahead and take those free tests, or even on your own, sit down and think, what are your strengths? And then what do you need to work on? And also, once you realize what strengths you have, how do those relate to the career that you want? Next slide, please. Again, building skills, watch a webinar. Now you can find most anything, any information, the TED Talks, many different ways that you can learn new information. We don't always just mean that you need to go get another college degree or a university degree and go higher. Of course, that's excellent. But now you can get certificates, you can take courses to show that you're always learning, you're always trying to better yourself in your life and your career. Next slide, please. Give back and pay it forward, inspire kindness, connection, and transformative change for oneself and others. This is very important. To have a meaning, to support a meaningful, important cause. This can be within work, but also in your personal life. But as Ramon talked about, having that work-life balance. Next slide, please. This is talking about reaching out for support and the development process. I think just by you connecting to these webinars, and I know that Reform has many other sessions with different topics, you're doing career development for yourself. You're taking the time to learn about new skills, new interests, and I highly encourage you to keep doing that. Next slide, please. Basically saying we're pushing in the same thing. Grow as a professional, you need to find ways to improve your skills and strengths and how to apply that knowledge. With this, you need to seek out new responsibilities and experiences, as we said. career development, professional development, self-development is a day-to-day, a month-to-month, a year-to-year process that you should be doing throughout your life. I think this is important. The last sentence is the key to career growth is being open to making mistakes. Life is about making some mistakes, right? But what we learn from those mistakes and experiences help us grow and make us stronger. Next slide, please. This tree is a nice tree to show what, certain aspects about your career, keeping your CV current, keeping your contacts, your network current, success, education, your experience, your abilities, your knowledge. Your career is all of this in one package. And you have to continuously be working on all of these aspects. Next slide, please. Okay, these are different growths, right? You can grow financially, academically, in your work experience, in your personal growth. Next slide, please. These are examples of what during your career path. I think we talked a lot about this in the weeks before, so I'm not going to go into this, but these are how you can improve and be looking for your career in self-development, having an internship, job shadowing, practicing interviewing, going to conferences, networking, degrees and certificates. Next slide, please. This is about having your goals. Ramon talked about goals and designing what you want for that goal, being aware, how you're going to get to that goal, the relationship or what you need, the people you need or the skills you need, and how you're going to continue with that goal. Next slide. So continuous learning is which now is more common now because we can do a lot online, where you are working, but you're also learning. And that can be courses online, that can be courses that businesses offer. Next slide, please. Again, it's the sort of the same, that it's a whole process where you're working, but you're also learning at the same time. Next slide, please. As I talked about, some of it is formal. You're all in the university now. Some businesses will have their own training programs. You'll have workshops or conferences, e-learning courses, and mobile learning courses. Next slide, please. These are just some examples of courses, and that some give certificates, where some are free. Not sure if you've used any of them, but these, go in and look at these websites, and many of them allow you to take the course for free. And at the end, if you do want the certificate, you have to pay a small fee depending on the course. But this is a great tools, and there's many more where you can go in and take specific courses in finance, global health, all across the board. There are courses that you can take, and they're free, most of them. Next slide. This is a continuous learning, which is also the social learning. Next slide, please. Again, this is related to taking the courses. When you yourself are self-directed, you do research, or, I think it's important that not everything has to be very formal. Listening to a podcast or now watching instructional videos, you're not going to gain a certificate, but you're going to gain knowledge. Next slide, please. So this is the difference between continuous learning and lifelong learning. Of course, lifelong, I think everyone gets, it's forever during your lifetime. And continuous learning is basically doing extra training or learning new skills while they're working. Next slide, please. Your career and your career development is important. I think that we've talked about, and if you have a career that aligns with your values and your strengths and skills, you're going to be happier. The company's going to be happier. Your reputation is the most precious thing you own in developing a career, and you should be known as being a reliable, professional, and helpful individual. Next slide, please. In one of the first slides, Ramon talked about who decides how much you're going to grow, and I think he said it's you. What we want to leave with you is that you should always be growing. You should be making a difference, and that doesn't come by just sitting around. As you've seen, you need to keep your career development process or your learning process is lifelong. And today we talked about many things. Knowing your strengths, your skills, your weaknesses. Go in and take those tests and see where they're at. Have that important meeting that Ramon talks about with yourself. Create the work-life balance and continue to be looking to how you can improve in certain courses and certificates or webinars, and know that you can do it, but it's a lifelong process. And you, as I think Dr. Anthony mentioned, everyone's looking for a career, and when you leave the university transitioning out, you need to have some of these skills when you leave. You can't just wait. You need to start doing things now to improve your resume, to improve your skills, and for that you yourselves to know who you are and what you're looking for and how to sell yourself to find that position in that company that you want or in that career you want. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Amy, and Ramon for this detailed and really quite lengthy presentation. What I would request is that, I mean, we've talked quite a number of things. We've touched on quite a number of things, and there could be pieces that you need some clarity about. And in the event that you need some clarity on particular slides, on particular content that has been presented to us here, now is the time when you can also, through the chat, pose your questions so that you get some clarifications. And as we do that, I also want to invite Anthony to speak something or build on what Anthony and Amy Ramon and Amy have mentioned, to reinforce and also to continue stating really that the most important thing, like Amy has mentioned, is that career development is a continuous process. It doesn't have a one-point start and end. You keep continuously and progressively continue to build your career. And many facets, many things need to be put in place. You need to be thinking about as you continue to progressively build that career of yourself. So I'll invite Anthony to give a few remarks as we look forward to your questions on anything that you may need some clarity about, or any comments on the content that has been shared and presented to you today.
Yes, Naboth, I think from my side, it's really more about for the participants to be able to appreciate that to be competitive is a deliberate effort. And if you don't invest in becoming competitive, then the labor market will leave you out. And so you only extend and make your time frame for transition from school to the job or from one job to the other longer, because there is no reason why people should hire you. We don't hire you just because you have a degree. We hire you because we can see value in you. And if you attend a job interview and you're not hired, quite often people begin to say, oh, because I'm not from this community, or because I don't know anyone in that panel, But you have to begin to ask yourself whether what you're saying or first of all, what you're saying and telling the panel, you believe in it. So quite often people will say, they ask them their personal values. And yeah, people say, I love to watch movies and so forth. Wrong. It simply means you have not reflected on yourself. So this 1 hour that you've gone through is really to begin to say, can you take a deep dive conversation with yourself? Can you have a conference with yourself? Can you have a meeting with yourself? Can you write out certain commitments for yourself that you can begin to be able to build on? Nobody will build yourself, but it's you to build yourself. So even this meeting right now, we've sent out the link to so many, but there are only about 48 of you who have turned up. That in itself is indicative of interest to begin to build yourself. Now that you have heard and listened to these things, can you take them further forward? Can you begin to look and say, okay, can I begin to make baby steps one at a time? Some of the things you will learn, some of the things it will be your failures that will teach you the lessons, but never fail to try. The moment you begin failing to try, then you will not have lessons. In other words, you will not have gone through the school of experience. That experience is about trying, failing, and trying again. So these are a few things that I would like to reiterate, that learn to invest in yourself. And you can be able to invest in yourself in several ways. So these are very critical issues. These videos are available online on YouTube. You can be able to go back and rewatch them and continuously be able to utilize them for yourself. So I think I would like to stop there.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I just want to read a few comments, and also there's someone who has raised up her hand. I think she has a question. So Judith mentions that I've learned really a lot today. Thank you so much for this training. Lucy also comments that now I know why they ask during interviews that, why do you think you're better than the other candidates? This was very helpful for me. So Agnes Ntabo, would you mind asking the question or comment that you have? I see you raised your hand. Agnes? I think maybe she can't hear us or something like that. So anyways, if there's any other person that has a question, we still have about 10 minutes to have this done. If there's not, we'll give you maybe another 5 minutes to see if there's any question coming up. If not, really then want to appreciate the 48 or so of us that have taken the effort to make sure that they participate and attend today's training. There are a couple of other sessions that are coming. Be on the lookout through your emails, and we'll be happy to engage with you further moving forward. And again, thanks to our presenters for today's presentation. It's really been very great. It's been deep and very exciting as well.
Now, just a quick comment here, because from Lucy's question, I believe she is also kind of talking about job interviews and that, and we went through that training a few weeks ago, so maybe she can go back and take a look at the slides and the presentation, and then there's also a lot of information there about that as well.
Sure. I think much of the information that is coming through the chats is more appreciating the session and the presenters for really bringing up the salient issues that maybe in one or another they've not been really taking them seriously, or also that it has reinforced some of the things that they've been thinking about and want to make themselves better. Again, thank you very much, Anthony and team, for making sure that these sessions happen. And thanks so much to our presenters, Ramon and Amy, for putting in the effort to make sure that you get the right content that communicates best to all of us and in the simplest ways for us to easily understand it. So thank you very much for making it to this training. Until we meet again in the couple of weeks from now, be on the lookout for the email that notifies you for the next training session. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.